Hello indie game fans, I'm a day late, so let's get right into the best indie game hidden gems of October 2021. Let's start off with a bang with the all-action 2D platformer Okinawa Rush, one where you fight against the evil Black Mantis clan seeking revenge, looking and playing awesome and is severely underrated. I do have to show my admiration for the sheer audacity of the developer of DUSK 82 Ultimate Edition, since he straight up went and made a Chips Challenge style 8-bit puzzle game that serves as the prequel to the retro FPS DUSK. It's a collection of 30 puzzle levels with some weapons like shotguns and crossbows, which should be familiar to fans of the original. It is both a vastly different genre and a totally different look, and based on Steam reviews, has not sold as many copies as the original shooter, but I do think that it's important that indie developers get to make the games that they want to make, getting a spot on the list. One of the free hidden gems that you should check out is the original Himno from 2019, a title with no combat, and was created by the developer for himself to de-stress while making games, simply enjoying the movement and exploration in that title. However, Himno the Silent Melody is perhaps a more deliberate effort at fleshing out the game into a video game as video game, in that, of course, combat was added in, following in the footsteps of games like Terraria. Interestingly, there is a base building aspect where you can create homes for rescued NPCs, with each new character revealing a little bit more about the world of this game. However, in adding combat, I do think that the game has lost a little bit of its charm, but the platforming remains great and is still one to watch in early access. I do like my city builders, so of course, InfraSpace gets a nod this month. It is set on the frontier of humanity's space efforts, where you have to mine and gather resources to build factories and homes and roads in order to develop further. While there are fantastic creations like entire fields of solar panels, somehow, transportation has not been solved and there's still traffic to contend with on a scale similar to what you would see in city skylines, which I thought was a funny aspect. Still, the slick visuals and futuristic setting does appeal to me, making it another one to watch in early access. A no-brainer pick for this list is Jack X, a pixel art action platformer with multiplayer support, where you play as one of several axe-wielding warriors as they traverse the world. The game's influences are based on both Filipino and Norse mythologies, which is unique, with a wonderful, vibrant art style as well.
Here's the story about Billy, the quiet kid sailing at sea. One morning while fishing, the sky suddenly turns to gray, and all the colors fade away.
I honestly cannot believe that Rainbow Billy the Curse of the Leviathan did not get more traction, since this is a wonderful exploration platformer with monster taming elements where you go on a quest to restore color to the world from the Leviathan that stole it away. There is a nice mix of Zelda-style action-adventure puzzles, some 3D platforming, Pokemon-style monster taming and turn-based combat, but with Mario RPG-style active elements, and even an art style that feels a little like Cuphead, so what's not to love? I think that it's an excellently made title that is definitely worth a play, so if you enjoy games like Bug Fables, definitely give this a go. A fantastic action platformer is They Always Run, where you play as a mutant bounty hunter travelling across the galaxy in order to hunt down your prey. The combat is interesting, involving using the thumbstick for attacks rather than the face buttons, even having an upgrade tree and progression system to keep you playing. While I'm not usually a visual novel person myself, there must be something with bad end theatre, one that has you following 4 characters, making decisions and seeing how their intertwining stories play out. This developer has been around for a little while, primarily releasing games on itch.io, where this is their first Steam release and has already done pretty well. I love seeing stories like this, since the visual novel genre in particular is quite a difficult sell, but to see the reception that this has gotten has warmed my heart. So even if this is not usually your genre of choice, do give this a go.
There are things in this universe that are beyond your comprehension. Are you going to fulfill your destiny? Or die trying?
A first-person shooter with a great comic book art style is Forgive Me Father, one that taps on Lovecraftian horror, where you play as a priest blasting away at eldritch horrors. The action is great, kind of old school like Doom, but does have eldritch weapons as well, even having an upgrade tree, and where madness and sanity plays a role as well. As such, it does have a pretty good showing even if it did release in early access, having a decent chunk of content with more levels and even a new playable character to come in the months ahead. Lumione is, simply put, a very pretty precision platformer that I think is for fans of the genre. Think Celeste combined with Ori and you get the idea, with some gorgeous visuals and a decent level of challenge. Let's kick off the top 5 with a very clever, smaller roguelite tactics game named Dungeon Death Ball. It is very similar to Into the Breach, with an intentionally smaller area of play, and where enemies' intentions are made known to you, where you are playing Dungeon Death Ball, a sort of hybrid between dodgeball and American football, controlling prisoners fighting for their lives against a horde of monsters. I do love Into the Breach myself, so if you love the strategizing of that game, I would recommend that you pick this up since it is fantastic, even having unit customization and a variety of game modes to keep you playing. October is spooky month, so of course, we had a number of horror games, where one of interest is Evil Tonight, coming to us from developer DYA Games, whose pixel art I absolutely adore. This is a Resident Evil style survival horror game where you play as an exorcist who finds herself trapped in an abandoned compound. Sounds familiar? Well, that does seem to be the setup for many survival horror games, so it is up to you to fight enemies, find items, solve puzzles, unlock shortcuts, and fight for your life against a great evil. I'm not quite sure why this game hasn't taken off, given that there was quite a good combination of factors leading up to launch, but that just means it's a hidden gem worth picking up. One of the more interesting entries for the month is Sands of Aura, an open-world action-adventure game with Souls-like combat set in a world covered in sand where you sail about on your ship, entering dungeons and vanquishing enemies in order to protect the world. I love the setting of this game, but where it does shine is the deliberate combat, which, combined with a loot and crafting system, makes it pretty compelling. Like Himno, the silent melody covered earlier, this, interestingly enough, has a base building aspect where new NPCs eventually become vendors and can provide all sorts of services, making your next trip out onto the sand seas just a little bit easier. It is currently in early access with a planned full release sometime in 2023, so that means plenty of time and major updates to come, making this one to watch in early access. I do have to give a very special mention to Elisa, a survival horror action-adventure game that is really in the vein of Resident Evil 1, down to the visuals, fixed camera angles and gameplay. One of the reasons why I love indie games is that a game like this can be released in 2021, which blows my mind, but the sheer variety of indie games is just amazing to watch. When I previewed Nuclear Blaze for the week, I noted that firefighting as a concept in games is a pretty clever idea, since the enemy is not orcs or aliens or zombies, but rather a primal force in itself. You play as a firefighter, delving into a burning building to rescue survivors and a cute cat or two, where exploding walls and backflashes are some of the major obstacles. I do love the pixel art, but did find the realistic looking fire a little difficult to read, and do note that this is a shorter, linear game, but it does have some fresh ideas and deserves the #1 spot. For more pixel art titles, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.